Greetings, everybody. We're back around the table today to continue our look at the Ruike M875TZ.
That's what I think about the name too, Ebony. It sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah.
We'll review that cat one of these days.
One of these days.
So yeah, if you hadn't seen it earlier in the week, go check out our hard and fast video on this guy to see all our scoring and our stats and whatnot. But this episode is just our babbling about the whys and whats and
Who's it?
yeah,
And
pretty
the
much.
what's it?
The bits and bobs.
And the yowzers.
whys it.
All the wisets.
Yeah.
And neither one of you ate it between Tuesday and Friday.
Hey,
it's
neither
still
of you
here.
have had 4 peppers yet either, so
All right, that's a fair trade-off. Okay.
yeah.
I had other food.
So yeah, I'm going to kind of start off with one of the obvious ones that we've had probably the most discussion about is the ergonomic execution and the spacing of that choil, especially.
Particularly the finger choil is what we're talking about for the ergonomics. A little bit for the pocket clip. Some of us do have a factor with that as well, but it's mainly this stepping point right here.
Yeah. Me personally, I find it in a weird, awkward, not big enough, but not small enough. And it's just a hot spot for me.
For once, I agree with you. It's
Yeah.
basically the exact feeling. Either make it more gentle of a slope, make it a longer slope, or a shorter slope, but that exact length. It's like right in the middle of my middle finger.
Yeah.
It's super awkward.
And I was actually one of the ones that, like, yes, I feel it there, but no, it doesn't affect the way that I'm cutting. And when I push on it and I feel like, whether it's feather sticking, whether it's paper, whether it's food, I don't think it's going to be as much of a hot spot as back maybe on the ridge of the pocket clip.
I just realized now how much that kind of looks like the extremer ratio finger choils.
For sure.
That it does.
Yeah. Harsh little rectangular cutouts.
Yeah.
But not as bad as the tie tacks on CRKT.
No.
So yeah, kind of the option to get around that is either if your fingers are small enough that you can squeeze up into it or else slide back enough. But that puts it into that weird tippy, unbalanced feeling of why I didn't like the smock so much. And then it also gets into the issue of I'm starting to sit into that too much, and I can see that being...
And I've never really even noticed the back end of it being part of the ergonomics. Like, oh yeah.
Just if you're sliding back so you only have one finger in the choil sort of thing is when I notice it.
But then I'm just going to get ready to baton.
Yeah.
That was actually the main point of contention for me when I first saw the photos of this thing. Was like, that's going to be an issue. It's actually the least obtrusive piece of this knife.
It fits really naturally.
Yeah.
And I definitely find that I fall right in that place where it's right in the middle of my finger. And I can see where in most day-to-day tasks it probably wouldn't be too much of an issue.
No.
But if you had to do anything that was kind of hard use with that knife, which it's not really designed for in the first place, but if you were set to task and had to do that, it would definitely be a spot that would start to rub pretty bad.
So many little memes.
I'm a cat.
But like, in my opinion, my humble opinion, this is how you do a
going
finger
like there
choil.
wasn't a cat just wandering through.
No. That's how you do a finger choil.
But when it comes to the pinching and the ergonomic, chamfering on this thing is bang on. Get this knife out of here. We're not reading this knife. It will come into play because it's a beautiful knife. But the chamfering on this is second to none. Like they've done every corner on this thing.
In some
The
cases,
finishing is really nice on it.
Yeah.
yeah, like in some cases, like they use the ball mill here, and then they've chamfered the edge off of that chamfer.
Yeah.
Like they're taking the time to do it right.
And that leads me into the phenomenal price point.
Yeah.
Of all of, and then we can bring this back up, all of the Ruike titanium stuff that has just recently come out. Find materials for this price point anywhere else on the market right now.
Honestly.
You can't find it.
Yeah.
Ball bearings and millings and S35s, whether it's N690s. And I mean, okay, that leads us into that. But anyone else want to talk about price point on this?
Honestly, it kicks all kinds of ass. Like it's something that it reminds me of Kaiser and Ruike knives, like their early days when they started coming out with these super affordable S35 yen titanium frame locks.
Even Wee Knives was somewhat
very
early on in their infancy.
And I'm hopeful that while there may not be as many models as with these materials in their catalog as, say, Rake or Rike or whatever, they did say they were going to focus on their entry-level stuff more than they were. So hopefully we'll still see these at these low price points in the future.
And that's one of the, as far as like the price point versus fit and finish, that's one of the things that's always impressed me with the Ruike stuff is they do such a nice
Very
fit
much
and finish
so.
job for their
And
price.
I think it showed in our earlier video when it came to both cost versus materials and cost and fit and finish. I think we ranked all of these quite high in our scoring.
Yep.
I genuinely had my fingers crossed, hoping that the premium materials were going to come across at that same kind of value that the entry level Rukes do come in at. I think they did it the right way.
I think they nailed it on
Like,
the head.
there's no gapping with the inlay here. There's no weirdness with any of the pivot holes. Like, it's just very nicely done.
On the note of no weirdness, we did notice one weird thing with the fit and finish.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
The locating pin, yeah.
do that a little closer to my mic so you can kind of hear it. Our best guess is there's a locating holding pin to keep the backspacer from rotating, and it might be just a little too short for the hole, so we can hear that little jiggling in there.
Definitely a nitpick.
Yes.
But again, at the price point that it's coming in at, I don't think anyone's complaining about.
No.
An easy enough thing to overlook for sure.
Now, one of the things I have to gripe about is N690 Cobalt. But not even my personal gripe with N690 Cobalt, because I have a lot of gripes with it. The fact of the inconsistencies on Rake's titanium steel selection. All three models got a different steel price point. And I can appreciate to some degree, but they were so close of a price point between the three that I really question why you went about doing that instead of making a knife slightly cheaper because you can buy steel in bulk.
Yeah.
Why buy a little bit of S35, a little bit of 154, a little bit of N690 instead of a crap ton of 154 or a crap ton of S35? N690, just leave it to the Italians. That's all I'm going to say about that. You both know. You both know.
I have no excuse.
Anyway.
It's a fair point. It definitely could have impacted the final price.
Even greater than it already is. Don't get me wrong. I like
think
it.
they just did it to appeal to a wider variety of users. I mean, if you look at the number of different designs they have in their standard catalog and how different the designs are from each other in a lot of cases, I think this is to that same effect.
They're appealing.
Yeah, but just on the note of the price point of it, it's sure go ahead and try to appeal to the market as much as you can. But when you're comparing the price point for this guy compared to the price point for that guy, it doesn't seem like there's enough of a gap for the steel difference.
Ultimately, with Rake, units sold are units sold. And if you can drop a knife by $25 more because you're buying 3 times the amount of S35 already greater, or keep it at the price the same and just make a higher profit margin, splitting up the steel choices.
The manager and him speaking there.
I'm just sorry. If you look at the marketing at it, it's splitting up the steel choices makes the least financial business sense out of all of them. Keep a steel the same. Keep this, and units are units. Who cares if it's an 18-year-old or an 80-year-old or an Italian or an American or whoever is buying this knife?
Yeah.
It might be something they're doing on purpose, though, to see which direction their customers are going.
It could be an experimental.
And then
what
going
steel's
forward,
more popular? Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at the response, if you look at the response online, it's not the knife that's sitting on the table right now. It's the knife in Paul's pocket that everyone's talking about.
And it's not here at the table today, so maybe it's not totally relevant. But the Hussar, or not the Hussar, the Beta Plus that got the updated steel. That was the one 154 CM. Why not CPM 154 if you're going to do the S35? Like, for how close they are in price points, it's like, well, I understand it's basically a stepping ladder getting up to that quality of steel.
Okay, I can maybe understand it because of the Chinese market growing and 154 CM being significantly cheaper than CPM 154 as far as somewhat of a financial reasoning behind it.
I suppose.
But then why not do VG10 instead of, okay. So if you do VG10, which is a glorified N690, you're so close to a 1428 Sandvik that why are people are like, it's not an upgrade. So the N690 Cobalt is almost a way to fool people about like,
It feels like an
It's
upgrade.
Italian, man.
It's-
It's like a nice pair of leather gloves
but
or Ferrari.
is it that much of a step up on 1428 Sandvik that they can sell for $50 on the market right now, or 25 if you're in the States, because apparently Gong show American prices, right? Like for their entry level rake stuff.
Yeah.
So this is fooling people, but this is making up for it fantastically. Don't get me wrong. I love this knife. Enthusiasm got an 8 for a reason.
Should mention too, on their website, they mentioned that I want to say it's TC4 titanium, which is kind of off from what you're used to hearing when you're hearing like 6ALV.
4B titanium.
Yeah, that
I
stuff.
think.
He would know.
That math equation.
But
I think you're right.
yeah, and doing a little bit of research, it's the same class or same grade of titanium. It's still grade 5 titanium.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
probably a different manufacturer or something like
Very
that.
interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. That's good to know. Yeah. That still doesn't explain what the pocket clip is made out of.
No, it does
No.
not.
That is true.
Or the fact that Ray can still mill a little piece right here. Even in the machining, it wouldn't mess it up and give lefties an option.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been real easy in that.
In the geometric pattern, even, you
Yeah.
could keep it right in there. It wouldn't mess with any of the milling, and you still ignore us.
We should mention that the pocket clip, 3D machined,
Whatever it is.
nice and springy. It definitely slides into the pocket a lot easier than other 3D machined clips that I've personally experienced.
Yeah, usually it has too much tension and it is just way too stiff when it's a 3D machine clip, but no, that one's nice tension to it and
And they
easy to slide in.
They did remove the texturing like you would expect some of these lines down here. It's pretty bare. Or rather, sorry, they flipped it. The machining lines down here are now found up here. So it's a smooth ride once you get that into the pocket.
Yeah, you're not tearing up your pocket on the.
Yeah, it
the
sure is a
machining.
smooth ride in your pocket.
So that's
Oh,
funny
geez.
that you do point that out. And speaking
Nature's
of
pocket?
the smooth ride in nature's pocket, the fact that Nigel hasn't lost his mind over the fact that the milling machine marks are down here on one side and up here on the other side when there's a pocket clip. So is this just like a continuation where you think the lines just come over and then become part of this and it's all one piece, or?
They're still matching. Even though they're asymmetrical, it's still matching as far as the lines go.
I was going to say he's more distracted by that than anything else.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
also kind of bothered by that, to be perfectly
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah. So I am very nitpicky about having matching scales, and yeah, the carbon fiber inlay on the one side and not on the other side definitely does it for me. But as far as the milling being flipped there, I still consider it matching. It's just asymmetrical.
You know what would have been cool if they just forgot about the carbon fiber on this side and had these lines up near the top.
No,
I don't think I would like
get
that,
the hell
no.
out of Dodge, my friend.
But then
That's a
there'd be
terrible
room
idea.
for you to put your left-handed pocket clip.
Yeah.
There's room right now. Don't give me that crap.
You
wouldn't have
want
to
all that
change
texture tearing up your pocket?
Where am I afraid to mess with face sides of knives?
That's not,
Like,
what I'm,
seriously.
that's not what I'm talking
No,
about.
he's talking about tearing
The
up
milling? I don't
Yeah.
think it would be that big of a deal.
No, it's
and
subtle
again,
enough.
That comes
Yep.
back to rakes chamfering and stuff like that. I think they did this milling nice enough that it would grip less than a G10 from Cold Steel.
Yes.
That's
Hands
true.
down.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. But as far as the milling, that does kind of tweak me out as far as the balance of it. Those two random lines coming off from the pocket clip hole there.
We all understand why they're there, but it definitely would look nicer without them.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a company that also mills their titanium handles very similarly to it. And by putting these two lines, it
It's
very clearly
different.
gets
Yeah.
away from the fact that it's different.
And I will say, we were kind of talking before the video that they did a nice job with the placement, how it kind of lines up into the choil and it matches on either side of the drill hole for the pocket clip there and whatnot. But they still feel very much of just an afterthought of, what can we do to make this different? And it's like, see, it's different now. And
We like that idea. How can we change it? Okay, we did that. Now
Yeah.
it's done.
and then with my matching issues, it's not on this side, so that's where I get into the mismatched it.
Realistically, this knife is taking a little bit of everything from a whole bunch of knife companies.
Yes.
I mean,
We touched on the choil being like the extreme ratio stuff.
we've talked.
There's nothing new in the knife world. Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Trent and Gavin Hawk would like to have a word with you.
Touche.
The 2-screw construction is super nice.
That is nice for sure.
That's something I had almost forgotten to bring up, but it's super cool that they have it.
And along with the 2-screw construction, it being the see-through screw construction as well.
Hey Kershaw, guess what? You can do that without a special tool.
Speaking of taking things from other companies and maybe
Making it
improving
better?
upon them.
I don't know if they necessarily. I won't. I'm not sure if I can count that as necessarily being taken from another company because they did have the flow-through screws for their Hornet, one of their fixed blades.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah.
And,
Which came
and-
out before.
It's just regular hex to take these apart,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
And that's not a new thing either.
No.
But doing it on a pocket knife with a pivot
Yes.
has been
Pretty
a
rare.
very new thing in the last couple years.
I didn't touch on it. We're almost getting there. With the fact that there's just 2 screws holding this whole knife together, I kind of wish there wasn't a backspacer just to, really show off how much of a flow-through design it really is.
You'd prefer like a ZT style backspacer kind of thing.
Yeah, just a standoff here and a standoff there, or pivot and standoff and be done with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think we've covered all the bases that we want to cover on this guy.
Yeah.
Overall, I think all of us were kind of pretty pleased with it came out. You can look at our scores on Tuesday about if any gripes we had, they were personal gripes and not execution gripes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Ruike's very quickly becoming one of my favorite companies out there.
They came that way a long time ago for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to recommend a budget knife company.
Oh,
Mhm.
she's
And it's nice to see that they're kind of trying to stretch out of that budget knife as well.
There was one other thing I forgot to mention before we close up, just because I realized it right now. The only deduction I gave it on fit and finish was some of the rake stuff comes dry out of the factory. And their ball bearing system is an absolutely fantastic ball bearing system. It's not ceramic, it's still stainless steel, but at the same time, I think they do come out dry. So if you oil them up with some KPL, some nano, some blue lube, whatever it may be, these things fly out like lightning type of thing. But another small gripe, oil them up when you get them because they're a little dry out of the factory. So
Yep. And now that we've rounded everything out there, just another big giant thank you shout out to the Cutting Edge for letting us play with this one.
look at how beautiful it is after throwing. It took 3 days of us using it and it still looks brand new.
Indeed.
Didn't really have it.
Liar.
So that being that, this is Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm xl.ca.
We will catch you again next time.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.